That stage is where Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will square off for the first time since the release of that lewd video, and that video has dominated the news cycle ever since Friday night. But are the media actively ignoring a major Clinton story? Our nightly political panel is back. Byron York, chief political correspondent of the Washington Examiner, and Heidi Prisbala, senior politics reporter for USA Today. Byron, your thoughts about this? I mean, this video is sufficiently shocking that I knew there would be a tremendous amount of coverage, and I think there's nothing inappropriate about that. I just wonder whether it has succeeded in burying the story about Clinton's emails, which in their own way were pretty strong medicine. Your thoughts?
Well, the answer is almost yes. I mean, you can see why the Trump story would get more coverage just because it involved audio. You heard Trump in his own voice saying this stuff, much more powerful than if it had just been a print story quoting him. So, look, you can see why it got that big. It's about something that everybody has an opinion on. It's discussed at offices and other places where people gather. So that's true. On the other hand, some of this Clinton stuff has been very, very significant and very issues-oriented, where she had said in a speech that she wanted hemispheric open borders. That kind of stuff, I think it would be very powerful for use in the debate if Trump is skillful enough to do it. But there's been a huge imbalance of coverage between those two issues.
Yeah, Heidi, let me ask you, let's suppose, just for the sake of discussion, that we didn't have this Trump matter that has been so explosive. Would this Clinton story, the several really that grow out of the email releases, would it have been much different in your judgment?
Oh, totally. This would have been her October surprise. There's a lot of stuff in there. Some of it's more damaging than others. Some of it's just kind of like hold your nose stuff. But if the Trump story hadn't been out today, the Clinton campaign would have been forced to come out with their surrogates in full and answer for these on all of the specifics that have been leaked in here. Instead, the candidate herself, as well as, and Byron can attest to this, we're here in the spin room. Unlike at the other debates, the Clinton surrogates have been virtually nowhere today because they don't want to step on the Trump story, and they also don't want to answer for this WikiLeaks story. I have to point the finger here, though, Britt, a little bit at broadcast, just because I feel like us in the newspaper industry, we've all done full-take stories on this, but just because, like Byron says, of the salacious nature of this, and because of the fact that the Clinton people are really actively holding back their surrogates, broadcast has been dominated today by the Trump tapes, and you have the audio that you can play back. It makes for a visual and an audio show, and so that's what's been happening today. But had that not happened, yeah, the WikiLeaks story would be Clinton's October surprise, and we'd be going over point by point, discussing just, you know, the nature of the different emails that were exchanged here. I have to say, from the Clinton campaign's perspective, there's been a lot, though, that's been buried. Like, they wanted to get out that this WikiLeaks is basically the Russians doing this to them, and they've been unable to also communicate that. So it's all been buried.
What they're not saying, of course, Heidi, is that these emails and the documents that were contained in them are fake. They're not denying them, and there's one of them in particular that hasn't been publicized much. It is a strategy memo from inside the Clinton camp, which talks about how to get some good stories going. This goes back to 2015 about the Clinton campaign. Let me quote from one of those. Quote, "We have a very good relationship with Maggie Haberman of Politico." She's now with the New York Times, by the way, over the last year. "We have had her tee up stories for us before and have never been disappointed. While we should have a larger conversation in the near future about a broader strategy for re-engaging the beat press that covers HRC, for this, we think we can achieve our objective and do the most shaping by going to Maggie." Now, Maggie Haberman, I reached out to her. I've known her and always respected her, and she declined to comment. She did. The New York Times, however, did put out a statement regarding her, and I can read a little bit of it here. This is from Carolyn Ryan, National Politics editor. Quote, "Maggie Haberman is a brilliant and scrupulously fair reporter who is trusted by people from all sides of the political debate. Any suggestion otherwise is just false." Byron, your thoughts about this excerpt from that strategy memo?
Well, it doesn't look very good for the reporter involved, because basically it says they wanted a friendly reporter and somebody who's really come through for us in the past, who's teed up stories for us in the past. And they were looking for a piece about their launch to show what a careful, thoughtful process Hillary Clinton was going through in deciding to run for president. The other thing is that it actually, this memo could reappear in the campaign, because Maggie Haberman with the Times does a lot of the lead coverage on the Trump campaign. And of course the Trump campaign can say, here is a reporter who was deemed so friendly to the Clinton campaign that they wanted her to do their big rollout story, and now she's covering Donald Trump and we're supposed to get fair coverage. I think you'll probably see it as a basis for some complaints from the Trump campaign about the New York Times specifically.
How do you want to comment on this?
Yeah, I think, Britt, that we should let the viewers in on one of the worst-kept secrets in Washington, which is that all campaigns shop for reporters and they shop for papers when they're about to make a major launch like the Hillary Clinton campaign was. It wasn't a campaign at this point when this memo was drafted in January of 2015. The New York Times, to all of our chagrin, gets a disproportionate number of these scoops just because of their reach. And in terms of the never disappointed us, it could just mean that Maggie writes a very richly reported story, which is why the Trump campaign, she's been getting so many scoops out of Trump Tower as well. You know, Byron makes a point that it could be used otherwise.
I hate to cut you off, but we got to go here.
But yeah, so I don't know how damaging it is to her because she's getting so many Trump scoops.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well made. Thanks to both of you.